I'm Melissa. I'm from South Africa. I am interested in showcasing African beans at SlowFood. I just want to show you some of the beans that I've brought with me. This is a bean that's indigenous to Africa. It's called Jugo bean. There are various names depending on which culture you belong to, but Jugo is the most commonly known name. This particular one is a cream Jugo bean. You get them in different colors. You'll see some red ones and black ones over there from different regions. So this bean, the way it grows, it's interesting. It's similar to a peanut, groundnut, some people call it. It grows into a little bush, and when it starts to flower, it has these little yellow flowers. They grow up and then down, and as the flowers touch the soil, the pods start to form in the soil, and it's a pod with two beans in it. So when you look at it, when you pull it up, it actually looks like a peanut, but it's actually it's a different species from a peanut. And the way you prepare it is one of the ways, and it's the most popular and easiest way, is to take the pods, cook it, drop the pods, the whole pod without taking the beans out, in boiling water with a lot of salt. It takes about an hour or so to boil. Then you take them out and you put them, as a snack in front of you. You can get your beer or whatever you want to drink with it. And you sit and you sort of open the pods, okay, and you eat the beans straight from the pod. And it's a lovely salty peanut snack, and it's much healthier than, peanuts that have been fried in a factory in oil. This is a black cowpea. Cowpeas are indigenous to Africa. The cowpea that is commonly known in the commercial world and is grown all around the world is called a black-eyed pea. But what people don't know is that black-eyed pea, the original black-eyed pea species, is developed from these cowpeas that grow in Africa. And the slaves from Africa, during the slave trade, the slaves brought cowpeas and various other seeds they wove into their hair, and it became part of American cuisine as a result. And the black-eyed pea was developed by the slaves and grown, and now it's obviously a commercially grown seed. But back to the sort of African context of these, this is a landrace cowpea, which means it just grows in that region and it's adapted to that climate, to that soil. And the way you prepare it, you sort of boil it up and cook it in stews. There are various recipes. I've never tried cooking them myself, but I've got a friend who's an African chef who knows how to prepare them properly. But they're obviously a special technique. They need to be soaked a lot. You can also eat them like a green bean in the pod. So you can, and then another way that's interesting is you can actually eat the whole plant. You can eat the leaves as well. Like spinach. We all know what spinach is. It's an alternative to, but now the problem with this, people don't really know about these beans anymore. And the popular green food that people want to buy is Swiss chard. So it's an imported product as far as agriculture goes. But it needs huge compost, fertilizer inputs, water, commercial inputs. But with this, people don't realize that these grow much more easily. You don't need lots of fertilizer. You don't need commercial chemical fertilizer. You just put a bit of compost. It doesn't need a lot of irrigation. Usually rain is enough. So this is also why it must go on the Ark of Taste, because people need to start understanding that the African greens are actually much easier to grow, more nutritious than the commercial ones. And these are so much tastier than the Swiss chard. And so this as well is going to have to go on the Ark of Taste to get people to start taking an interest in these kinds of foods. And one of the traditional dishes with the leaves, okay, that's the one I know. I haven't cooked the seeds myself personally, but back to the leaves, what they do is they sort of boil it up, or they sort of strip the leaves of the plant. They sort of saute it in a bit of water. Some people put a bit of oil, but you don't actually need to do that. But the key ingredient in this is peanut flour. because the farmers who grow these also grow peanuts a lot of the time. And they have a ground peanut flour that they grind in a pestle and mortar the traditional way. And mixing that with spinach or greens is the most delicious thing you've ever tasted. These come from sort of very far in the rural regions. You just can't get them in shops. There is someone in Johannesburg, which is in the urban area where I live, has managed to find farmers who she buys them from. But they are very, very expensive. But rightfully so, because they're so rare. But yeah, no one knows about these beans. Yeah, which is a bit sad. I've been growing vegetables and trying all these different varieties. So so since I got involved in SlowFood, I was quite mesmerized by the arc of taste, and that actually got me thinking about what do we have locally that is kind of interesting, really, and tasty and good and healthy. What did people eat before we had, what we get in all the processed foods in the shops? And by being involved in SlowFood, I start meeting all these people who are interested in the same. And I meet with farmers who give me seeds, and I give them seeds. So it's all becoming a whole. We're starting seed banks and trying to grow and encourage people to start growing these, getting farmers to grow them, getting them to find markets, and selling them to customers like us who live in the cities. Interesting cultural heritage, healthy, just amazingly interesting foods that have a story to them.